Okay, well, thank you for everybody for attending. We will go ahead and get started with our webinar today. And it's my pleasure to moderate this session. We have just an excellent faculty for our webinar on sacroiliac dysfunction in the athlete. And we'll kind of talk about everything from injections and physical therapy and surgical management for these patients. So hopefully this is a great seminar, and the chat box will be open in the bottom of the presentation. So if you have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat box, and I will, during the discussion at the end, bring these up. And if we don't have time, we will write you a personal message with our reply. I'd like to, on behalf of our president for SIMEG, Dr. Kurosawa, and our organization, I'd like to thank our supporters, GE and Autobach, for support of this webinar and of SIMEG in general. This is our schedule tonight. Pretty tight schedule. We have a 10-minute introduction by our Professor Moriato about physical therapy, and then each speaker has about 20 to 25 minutes that are going to give their particular talk, and also discussion at the end. So our first speaker will be Professor Moriato, who's a physical therapist. He's going to talk about our paper of the month this month about proprioception and positioning error of the leg, and how it's much greater in patients that actually have SI joint function versus other types of non-specific back pain. So really fascinating study with a lot of questions. Then we'll follow with Professor Kanioka, who's a professor of orthopedic surgery from Waseda University in Tokyo, Japan. He's going to talk about sacroiliac dysfunction in athletes and exercise therapy for those particular patients. And he is a prolific researcher in this area, so he has a lot to add. Following Professor Kanioka will be Dr. Pierre Demacour, who's actually speaking in Dallas, Texas today, but he is an assistant professor of orthopedic surgery at Harvard Medical School, where he's an attending physician there. He's also a director of the ultrasound clinic there for procedures, and also co-director for the Boston Marathon, which is probably one of the most prestigious marathons in the United States. And he's also the team physician for a pro hockey team in Boston. He'll be speaking about sacroiliac joint in adolescents and young athletes, and the pathophysiology of these athletes with potential ligament laxity issues. And then closing up our webinar today is a friend of mine for many years now, Dr. Jeff Donner. He's an orthopedic spine surgeon in private practice outside of Loveland, Colorado. And he has probably nearly 30 years of experience in the spine, and is one of the pioneers of SI joint surgery. And one of his new interests, and it's been there all along, but he's really making a lot of headways in this and doing research with active trials, is regenerative medicine and its applications to both spine and the SI joint. So he's going to talk about the future of regenerative medicine in athletes, and kind of about how these innovative functions can pertain to the SI joint. And these are pictures of all of us with our president and Pierre and Jeff, and one of our good pioneers friends, Dr. Bruce Dahl, in Germany for our 10th anniversary. We all got to meet and came up with ideas for this webinar and others. But I'd be remiss without thanking Michael Dirks, who is really the glue that's helped hold SIMEG together, and is really the brains behind a lot of what we do in terms of our technology and our website and so on. So a huge thanks to Michael Dirks for helping. And then lastly, save the date. Please, if you're interested in SI joint and want to participate in the value of education and research and talk about SI joint with like-minded people, please put these dates in your planner. It's going to be in Austria this year at the Medical University of Graz, where Professor Hammer is going to be one of our local hosts. So with that, put your questions in the chat box. I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we'll turn it over to our first speaker tonight, Professor Moriato, who's going to talk about the paper of the paper of the month. So take away, Professor Moriato.